All right, thanks for joining us. We are here with Mike Schmidt today and BretB from Outer Space, talking to Mike about failure. Before we bring Mike on, I want to play a couple clips that, talk about failure. Here we go.
I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed.
So many of us choose our path out of fear disguised as practicality. What we really want seems impossibly out of reach and ridiculous to expect, so we never dare to ask the universe for it. I'm saying I'm the proof that you can ask the universe for it. Please. And if it doesn't happen for you right away, it's only because the universe is so busy fulfilling my order. Party size! My father could have been a great comedian, but he didn't believe that that was possible for him. And so he made a conservative choice. Instead, he got a safe job as an accountant. And when I was 12 years old, he was let go from that safe job. And our family had to do whatever we could to survive. I learned many great lessons from my father, not the least of which was that you can fail at what you don't want. So you might as well take a chance on doing what you love.
All right, Mike, how's it going, buddy?
Good, how are you?
Good. Yeah, I thought, let me get this shit off here. Today's a good day to talk about failure because a lot of people, including myself, are trying a lot of new things and just being okay with failing, part of the process. But before we get into that, I want to share with people some pictures. Okay, you ready for this?
Sure.
You've been on the show before, but some people don't know you because, they've never been on this incredible thing we do.
Exactly.
Called BretB from Outer Space. And, hey, if you're listening and you like this or you think it's dumb, please subscribe and give a thumbs up because it helps us, all that algorithm stuff. So anyway, I pulled these off the internet.
Don't forget to share.
Yeah, and share. I pulled these off the internet without your permission. I hope that's not okay. Let's go.
Oh, good Lord.
Okay. So first of all, I want you to explain this picture and then I've got some questions.
Okay, so this is probably around, I'm guessing, Christmas time. That is my childhood dog, Roscoe, on my lap there. And then my incredibly stylish and handsome brother.
Yeah. Yeah. The plaid. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, he's rocking it.
So
I'm not even sure what that belt is either. Holy cow.
So I have some questions. Are you ready for my question?
Hit me.
I have one question about this. Okay, the dog's sitting on your lap.
Yes.
Your brother's Brad, right?
Yes, correct.
Why is Brad reaching over and grabbing the dog?
I have no idea.
Is it like he's my dog too? Is it kind of an older brother thing? Is it like it seems a little awkward.
Brad's a very sensitive guy, maybe where he's comforting Roscoe because he has to sit on my lap. I don't know.
It's gonna be okay.
It's like
Roscoe.
Because Roscoe does look a little bit like, what is going on?
Oh, that's funny. All right, we're moving on. So this
Uh,
is this is a great picture of you. If you look at this, you'd be like, "Where's Waldo? Where's Mike?" And then there he is
right.
in his element.
I've said many times I don't know why I didn't get cropped out of that picture.
I think it's awesome. It's like you should use this for a promo pic for Guitar Tech. Be like, it's like, where are you? Look,
Yeah,
there I am. That's where,
there I am.
isn't that where Guitar
I'm
Tech's
working my butt off over here. What are you talking
yeah.
about?
Look at all those guitars I got to tune right behind me.
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of them. I'm gonna have to take care of at least one of those two up there in a minute.
Yeah, so Mike is a guitar tech with Big Time Grain Company, who now has become incredibly busy in June and July, just to let you know. Um,
I'm loving that thought.
yeah, so COVID um, stopping events is I think stopping. This one,
I
here's
hope
another good
so.
one. See that plane up there, boys? What are we looking at? That's the question.
That is a question. That was a fun gig though.
Yeah,
Rains Wall,
yeah,
Miss Rains.
yeah. He's a good dude. He's playing for
Yeah,
Sidewalk Profits now, I think.
yeah. If I remember right.
It kind of looks like we're looking at UFO, but I got a really distraught look, and you guys are smiling, so I doubt it's a UFO. That's your house in the background, correct?
Yeah, don't I wish?
Here's another good one.
Yeah, that's like an early one, like
When,
third or fourth gig that
yeah.
did with you guys.
Can you tell because there's only like the amount of guitars? Is that how you tell?
Um,
Like,
well, yeah, but I also I remember that being early on.
yeah,
That was at oh, what was a casino gig with is it Travis
Travis Marvin.
Gibson?
Travis Marvin, I
Travis
think.
Marvin, there you go.
That was yeah, that was local casino. This
Yep.
is another good one.
Oh, good.
Dude, if you don't like these, you better
See,
pull them off Facebook because that's where I got them.
well, you got them. You got them because other people have shared them
Oh,
and tagged me in them.
that's it.
I'm not pulling them off. I'm not. I got nothing to hide. I was a geeky dork wrestler in high school.
I like it. I like it.
There's an example of I wasn't the best, but I was definitely a positive contributor.
Yeah. How so?
I won a few matches here and there, and won a tournament or two, and usually placed high in tournaments I didn't win, so I was always contributing points overall.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't a state champ, but in the team aspect of things, I'd like to think I was somewhat of an integral part of making that happen as I got older.
Yeah. Team's important. I mean, just ask the Chiefs, right?
Yep.
Um,
Oh,
is this okay? I put
pride and
your
joy
kids on
there.
here. I have to ask you. I'll take
Oh
it.
yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. That one's out there. That's my background. So yeah,
Okay.
that's not a new picture you can't find already.
Okay. I love that picture.
Um, love going bowling with the kids. They're pretty amazing. We actually, it's funny you bring that picture up because last weekend we talked about failure specifically, and me kind of being the dad soapboxing to them, don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah.
When you do, know that people are going to mock you and give you a hard time about it, and know that that failure is just a step forward. You're
Yeah.
learning what you can and can't do and what you need to work harder at if you can do it.
Yeah. I find that I fail a lot as a dad, and I learn that way. Yeah. So, oh, I pulled this one too. Lewis Hamilton.
Oh, Lewis Hamilton.
Uh,
Um,
tell me a story about failure connecting to Lewis Hamilton, because I'm you're the one that got me into F1.
um, Lewis, came on early and won a championship with McLaren,
Hmm.
and then he struggled at McLaren.
Yeah.
and decided to switch teams to Mercedes. And he struggled early on at Mercedes. It wasn't until he had failed a bunch and moved over there. And I think Lewis would be the first guy to tell you, you're going to fail a lot before you get a lot of success.
Yeah.
And he's probably one of the toughest critics on himself when it comes to failure. When he does a debrief after winning a race, he's like, I could have done this better. I could have done this better. We could have done this as a team better. I screwed up here. I screwed up there. And it's like, dude, you won the race by 30 seconds. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, interesting.
Yeah, he of all people knows how important failure is in making things happen.
Yeah. Man, you got me into that. What was that show on Netflix called? F1 or?
Drive to Survive.
Drive to Survive, yeah.
And they're struggling as well, if you ask me.
Oh, yeah.
They
Go ahead.
This last season, I'll keep this short. Things aren't in chronological order. So if you're watching it, some of the things aren't exactly happening as they do, and they do things to make things seem more dramatic.
I gotcha.
That aren't quite as maybe dramatic as they would be. They're trying to make better television.
I gotcha.
Which I totally get. Is just as a a big fan of the sport, it's kind of frustrating.
Yeah. Don't you think people
Still
catch on to that these days?
What's that?
What do you think people catch on to that these days? It's kind of like a whole reality TV. People are like, yeah, that's getting staged,
Yeah, we've come to the realization that reality TV isn't really reality. It's scripted reality, so to speak.
Yeah. I did like that show because, speaking on failure, I mean, those guys spend so much money on a car and just destroy it. They just completely destroy a car, and then they go, okay, what are we going to do different? It's not like they're not going to go, hey, if we blow up a car, we're just quitting. If we destroy this car, we're out of here. Like, that's part of the process is the failure. It's like, no,
right.
We've got to change this.
They do things. They make that car so light that if it does get into an accident, it practically falls apart.
Yeah.
And it's safety wise, it's kind of designed to do that in stages anyway. But then, it also that, they run those engines at the peak of performance for as long as they can, which is only probably 6 or 7 races at the most. And then they've got to switch them out, and they cost millions of dollars for just the engine.
Golly, that's insane. So give me I posted on Facebook. Nobody really responded because I don't know if a lot of people like talking about their failures. I've kind of gotten used to it because I've done so much of it. But what's your favorite failure? What's your most fantastic failure?
My most fantastic failure.
Yeah.
Well, the cheesy answer would be not
just lost it there.
Not getting, not stepping out and allowing myself to fail would be the biggest failure. But otherwise, probably not, and this is going to sound probably not just finishing college so I could say I had it, because I was so close, and it was like, I realized this isn't what I want to do and it's not what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And then just moving on. Really the failure was going down that road. But if I didn't go down that road, I wouldn't be where I am today. Certainly wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't know you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, where would you be, by the way?
Oh gosh. Managing an auto parts store in North Dakota, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I have one of those stories too. I had a very similar story for education. I quit about the same time. I quit about 3 hours before I graduated. I decided I wanted to join a band and go on the road, and that's what I did. I spent my life kind of regretting it, not really out loud or even consciously. I felt like probably there was a lot of shame there that I wasn't recognizing, and it was just kind of sitting there. And then as I got older, I realized one time it's like I have some shame about not finishing school. Um, so I dealt with that, and asked God to kind of help me work that out. But lately, there was an opportunity for a job that came up, and when jobs come up, certain jobs, they ask for education, and they ask for a certain amount of education, and minimum requirement is like bachelor degree or something like that. And I'm like, I don't have any of that, but I'm going to go through this process just to get over it, kind of
Yeah.
get over it. Like I didn't even really, honestly, I didn't even want the job. I was like, but I feel like I'm supposed to go through this process, like, and I did it, and they actually called me, and I went through an interview online, and I didn't get the second interview, and I didn't want the second interview, but it was like for me saying yes, I'm going to do it, rather than just carrying the shame of like, well, I would never, or I could never, or this happened, so I would never be able to get this job because of an education. I just didn't want those things holding me back in my head more than anything.
Yeah. So one thing that also I think happens in the process of you doing that is there are people on the other side of it. They go, you know what? We called this guy, and he's pretty with it enough that we're gonna, just based on his resume, we're gonna reach out to him, even though he doesn't have the credentials that we're looking for. And that kind of Elon Musk recently came out and said, look, I don't care if you dropped out of high school, if you're the guy that is the right fit for this,
Yeah.
We'll take you.
Yeah.
He talks about all the time that, college and that kind of thing isn't a good measure of a person's knowledge anymore.
Yeah.
That he's looking, and people should be looking for someone who has a track record of success, which comes through failure.
Yeah.
He hasn't said that specifically, but his philosophy on things is, life is about learning from your failures, and that's how you succeed.
Right. Yeah, and I think we've heard a lot of that lately. We've heard a lot of fail forward sort of conversation, and I don't know how you look at this lately, but I kind of look at it, me personally, as I don't necessarily know if I like the word or phrase fail forward. I just think failure is part of it. I think failure is like the famous Michael Jordan thing that we played at the beginning of the show was, he's just saying, I had to do this. I had to fail to get where I am today. It's like there's no road around it. There's no like, oh, let me take the bypass, the city the business exit or whatever that bypasses the city. So no, you have to go through it. You have to go through it to get to the other side, because you have to learn something in the failure to get to the success, And Jim Carrey's point was he saw his dad fail at something he hated. So
right.
Why wouldn't you try? Why wouldn't you?
Exactly.
I mean, life is pretty stinking short when you think about it. There's people around me right now that are quitting careers that they spent their life doing, and some of that's because of COVID too. Like COVID has forced some people into a different mindset, because they've either lost their jobs or they've had to come up with ways to make income. And I've heard more dream come true stories from COVID than in the last 15 years of my life. People are like, I lost my job, and I I've always wanted to make hot sauce company, and now they're doing it, and they're killing it, right? So like
Yeah.
it took something to like force them almost, force them out of I don't know what that is. It's a monkey.
Yeah. It's a coworker.
Is that a secret? Are we doing
I,
good? Are we failing?
I,
What's that
yeah,
say?
exactly. Are we failing here or what? Um, he's probably just heckling me, but
Oh, he's got to do better than that. Don't you think? We got to have a stronger heckle than that. You failed at that first heckle, buddy. You can do better than that, right?
yeah. Talking about the success stories. I just watched a video the other day that the kind of the marketing guy for Warmoth guitar parts. They don't make guitars. All they do is make parts, necks, bodies, you know, and and then they have some other hardware stuff, but I think that's all brought in that they just sell. And they were like panicking. They thought they're closing us down. We're not going to sell any more guitar stuff. And he said, I think he said like 2 weeks into it, we got bombarded with orders.
Wow.
And he said, we, have had basically a record breaking year in sales, and they're so far behind on making custom shop parts that their standard stock parts are dwindling. So he's like, we've had great success when we thought for sure this was going to make everything fall apart.
Yeah, it's all those dudes at home now, or women too.
Right.
I'm like, I want to make a guitar.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have similar dreams like that. You want to build guitars, right?
Yeah, I like building them individually. I'm not sure I like the idea of designing something and mass producing it, because ultimately there's only so many variations on the theme you can do.
Yeah.
Before you've covered them all, and the market is so full of mass produced copies of each other that's not something that excites me.
Yeah.
I like the hands-on building and tweaking and doing all of that. So I mean, owning my own guitar building business, I'm not sure that's where I'm looking, but
yeah,
the part of it that I do, I really enjoy.
Yeah.
The one thing, the idea of success too, you can't let the world's idea of what success for you, or you can't let the world basically tell you what success is for you. You can be making millions of dollars and you'll be successful in the eyes of everyone around you, but you might be completely miserable doing it.
Yeah.
So, success has to be balanced with how happy you are in doing what it is you're doing.
Man, I think that's got to be one of the first things, dude. I think about, well, whatever it is. I mean, you think about this YouTube channel. I mean, there's 300 billion people trying to be YouTube stars. I'm not trying to be a YouTube star. I could care less. I just enjoy this. And like, I would do this if nobody watched. So, I would play my bass if nobody watched. What would you do if nobody paid attention, Like, seeking a man's approval is a slippery slope, and it goes down really quick. So it's like that sustains it, not
Yeah.
oh, we got to do a video every week because, we need numbers, and numbers helps drive likes and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
It's like,
and then you get more revenue because of the views and likes, and
yeah. And have you ever thought about
gain sponsors because of the views and likes, and you're pushed up the chart, podcasts. Every podcast you listen to is go over to Apple Podcasts and,
Yeah.
leave a review or, whatever. And it's like, we don't care what you say in the review, just leave a 5-star review. And,
Yeah.
one of the podcasts I listen to literally says, tell us what your favorite color is. Tell us they locked us in the basement and forced us to listen to their show. We don't care. Just give us a 5-star review if you liked it.
That's right.
It's
Put a
like,
monkey with a hammer up on.
right. And the big thing for them is, they like what they're doing and they're having fun doing it.
Yeah.
And they found a way to actually start making money at it. So good for them. But I don't know that they would keep doing it if they weren't able to make any money at it, because what the level of the podcast they're doing, that's a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have to, what if you build something that you kind of like, and you make it successful, and then you're stuck doing something you kind of like and you can't do what you really like?
So the best thing there is to sell it to some company.
Yeah.
And let somebody else start doing it.
And then go do what you like.
Exactly.
Get it.
I mean, how many .com companies did Google and Apple gobble up over the years?
That's true.
And some of those people, for a fact, were making something just so that they could make it huge and have somebody gobble it up.
Yeah. Which I will say that I have friends that love business for that. They don't particularly like the business operation side, but they like building something and then selling it, like from the ground up. So that's a dream too. I mean, that could be somebody's dream. It doesn't have to be specifically. I think we categorize things a lot. We like, if your dream is business, well, no, maybe. But your dream could be just a smidget of business, just kind of like, well, I don't like everything with business, but I do like to build them up and then sell them. So that's what you need to do. If you like just the building part of guitars, but don't really like having a manufacturing company or all this, then that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
If you want it to be sustainable and like make a living out of it, then you probably need to find other people to do the stuff you don't like to do so you can remain doing the stuff you like to do.
Right. Yeah.
It sounds like I'm a walking Dr. Seuss book right now, but do the stuff you like to do.
The things you like to do so that other people can do the things you don't like to do when you're doing the things you like to do.
That's right. Straight up wisdom here on BretB from Outer Space. Please like and subscribe, right?
Exactly. Like, subscribe, share.
Yeah.
Go over to Apple Podcasts.
Did you hear that new soundbite I have? Listen to this guy. Like, disingenuous. I have some disingenuous crowd laughter. Are you ready for this? Whoa. Anyway, I forgot where we were. Oh yeah, failure. Go ahead.
I kind of talked to you about that at the beginning, the Dan Steinhardt from That Pedal Show, talking about how you don't have to be the best guitar player, and how he kind of worked his way through life, realizing that, if there were 3 guitar players in a room at one time, he might be the worst. Or I don't know that he put it that way exactly, but, just that idea, you just have to, he was saying, you have to love what you do.
Yeah.
And be, be that guy that people might be willing to work with. I love playing guitar, but I'm never going to be like a Nate Gregory.
Yeah.
I love watching that guy play. I'm never going to be that guy, but I still love playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which he was on one of our shows. So if you want to go watch Nate, a couple shows back.
Yeah. Nate's awesome. Definitely check him out.
Yeah. So interesting. This is not really a rabbit trail, but it's kind of connected. So the big thing now is micro niche, which I agree with. So micro niche is you find a niche and then you just niche it down from that. Like, I don't know, example would be I'm going to make videos on how to clean your dresser. And then you niche it down from that. I'm going to make a video on how to organize a dresser drawer. Like, that's the niche. It's coming down from big to small. So, which I think is interesting because it gets very specific. And I think each one of us has very specific things that we're good at. Like, we were created to do that, actually we're better at it than anyone else. Like, you have something in you, and I get that, some of that from, there's a book called The Zone of Genius, where it talks about doing things in your zone of incompetence, zone of competence, zone of excellence, and zone of genius. And the zone of excellence is the things that we usually get stuck doing. It's like, I can do, I can do video stuff and I can do this stuff, but my real zone of genius, I feel like, is located in music somehow. So I ended up doing the other stuff all my life, and I never take the chance. So I think there's a connection there. There's a connection there of, like, people doing stuff that makes money, and you can provide for your family, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's something in the back of their minds that says, what I really want to do is this. And that's what I think the quarantine and COVID kind of forced issues on some of that, because it took away the zone of excellence. And now you don't have that to fall back on, and you're like, well, if I can choose anything, then I want to choose this. And then just being able to fail, doing it. So
well, and I do like the idea, the micro niche kind of thing, because you're not going to be good at everything. There are some people who are good at all sorts of stuff, but no one's ever going to be good at everything. If they were, they wouldn't pay somebody else to do the things they're not as good at.
Right.
You wouldn't, if you were amazing at being a plumber, if everyone were amazing at being a plumber, we'd never need a plumber, because we'd all do it ourselves. But because we're not very good at it and we don't understand how all of that works necessarily, we pay somebody else who's good at it and likes doing it.
Yeah.
So finding the micro niche, definitely. And it's weird, because I have found myself, not necessarily the organizing your drawer videos, but your dresser, but I've found myself watching videos like that because you're sucked in by the person who's doing it. Because they truly, you're like, why would anybody be interested in this? And then 10 minutes later, you're like, I watched a whole drawer or a whole video about organizing dresser drawers, because they're passionate about it and they do it, they're good at it.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
So I kind of think the world scoffs a lot at people who are passionate about things that most people wouldn't be, but it's like, dude, it's not the thing they're doing, it's the passion. That's the thing you get hooked to.
Yeah. Yeah, and who's to say what's a good passion and what's not a good passion?
Right.
I mean, the guy on TikTok who's got the Evel Knievel that he films jumping. Have you seen that?
I have not.
He's like a huge success. He's like, you can tell he's a grown man, because he's like, he's got a nice house and all that stuff. But he sets up these ramps in his driveway, and Evel Knievel, like, and then it's in slow-mo, so it's like, and then his ramps, he's got like so many followers on TikTok, but he just like, and then he builds, and then the next ramp's got 3 jumps, and then the one's got 3. It's just crazy. And it's like there's something in that that's connected to his excellence, his zone of genius, that he's just, and it's the things where people start stuff and they go, this is stupid, I don't really care, but I'm gonna do it anyway. They're not, I'm sure he wasn't going, oh, I'm going to be a huge TikTok star, right? Or whatever. And those are I think those are the people I connect with, even like musical. It's like, I mean, even
Well,
somebody.
and if
Go ahead.
you look at the real Evil Knievelin, that guy failed, you know, as big as anybody could numerous times.
Yeah.
So you know the guy on TikTok's got his little Evil Knievel that's, you know, how many videos, blooper videos would he have if he took the footage where he failed before he got the one that you're watching?
Yeah.
You know? It's the, you know, the guy who's standing in the kitchen and he throws the steak knife over his shoulder towards the, you know, the knife block. If you listen to those guys, it's like, yeah, I spent 7 hours going like this.
I killed like
throwing
3
it
of
over
my
my
cats.
shoulder before I got it.
Yeah, I killed 3 of my
So,
cats doing it too, which is not. I don't
yeah,
reckon.
you might want to lock them in another room.
Yeah, really. Yeah, so that's interesting. It's um yeah, I don't know. So how would you, if you had to tell somebody to, because it's easy for us to sit here and go, yeah, just find your micro niche and don't be afraid of
Right.
failure. And but what if you've spent your life or part of your life and you don't even really know who you are, what you want? What would you do?
Um, you got to start with something you're good at.
Uh,
You know, there's the Mike Rowe story about the guy who ran the septic tank truck cleaning, you know, the septic truck business, and him saying, you know what, I found something I was really good at and I learned to love it.
hmm,
Now, I'm not saying, obviously, that does not sound like something wants to be passionate about, but you know, if you're as a kid going out and playing soccer and you're miserable doing it and you're not any good at it, that's clearly a sign you need to go somewhere else. But if you're kind of good at it, follow it a little bit. You know,
yeah,
you if you like it and you're kind of good at it, follow it and see if you can get better at it.
yeah,
It's the understanding you can have a dream, but you know, to be an NBA star and be a you know 4'11" kid who's got no coordination, you know, maybe you can find something around the NBA that you're good at. Are you good at,
yeah,
you know, reporting? Do you like statistics? You know, figuring out what that niche is and then following it
yeah,
is definitely the most important. And
yeah,
maybe finding something you're good at that you didn't realize you were good at it, and then learning to love it over time.
yeah,
You know, as you get into it, you know, if it keeps making you miserable, obviously that's not the right way to go. But if it's something maybe you're good at and you've found where you're finding where it is you like to go, you can find that thing, and your dream doesn't have to stay, you know, it doesn't have to stay stagnant. It can shift
yeah,
and move over time.
yeah. That's a good point. There's can't remember what his name. It's not Simon Sinek, but it's one of those guys that talked about adjustable outcomes. Kind of get a general idea of where you want to head. Like who's the pedal guy?
Josh Scott.
Josh Scott. So like he had adjustable outcomes. Tell me his story.
Oh, oh, but are you talking
The pedal guy that started out as a musician, then he's like, well, I don't want to be.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about Dan Steinhardt,
Yeah,
the guy I brought up
yeah,
earlier.
the guy you brought up
Okay.
earlier in connection with he.
So
Go ahead.
I reposted that video, and Dan's pretty awesome. He's a really good guitar player. Actually, he doesn't give himself enough credit, but Dan's that video I post, like I said, I posted it on my Facebook. But Dan, you know, started out as a kid. He was in a real strict home. His dad wouldn't let him listen to anything other than like uh, Christian religious music.
Uh,
So, but he said he was always drawn to the sound of a guitar, and then you know realized over time that he wasn't quite as good as he thought he was. He was in bands that had success and that kind of thing, but where Dan's had his biggest successes, he develops things for a company called Gig Rig, and I think he's like part owner in it, and they make just amazing gear, and that's probably his zone of genius.
Huh.
But his passion is playing guitar,
Yeah.
and out of his passion for playing guitar, he was able to, work through some failures in his life, as far as, bands not doing as well and making it huge and whatnot, to coming, to developing a company that he likes what he does there. But then he also, gigs in bands and has, a very successful YouTube channel called That Pedal Show that him and Mick, and I think Mick's last name is Taylor, and him and Mick are just, that's a perfect fit. They have great chemistry together. They have a ton of knowledge on gear, and so he's worked his passion of guitar playing into also his zone of genius, probably, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's very similar to the adjustable outcomes principle. Is leaving yourself open.
Yeah.
Because I think when we're young too, we see people. I think it kind of comes. It can start off how we're raised. If we were raised with a good value system and how we value ourselves, um, in the Christian perspective, a healthy outlook would be that you were created perfectly, in the image of God, and you don't need to change that. That's how you were made, and that kind of value system or the feeling about yourself can get you through times when you don't, you feel like other people are better than you, when you feel like that you should be somebody different than you are because you're not good enough. The idea of being not good enough can be a driving force to do maybe things that you shouldn't be doing or aren't an accurate representation of yourself. So it's like having that core belief about yourself, I think, can keep you on track as far as going, well, I'm not a guitar player, I'm a bass player, and guitar players get more attention, but I don't really care because this is what I love,
Right.
sort of deal. Or
Yeah. Well, I mean,
whatever. Drummers get the chicks,
you
I mean, that's just a
right.
myth anyway.
Yeah. Well, if you look at sports and the kids who, wind up making it into any level of professional sports, baseball, basketball, football, whatever, if you look at a kid whose dad's just beating the crap out of him all of his life, and there's some, I'd say, beating the crap out of him emotionally.
Yeah.
You're not good at this.
Right.
You can do better. Try harder. You stink. That kind of thing. You look at a guy, this is an example, Todd Marinovich. He was supposed to be the Tom Brady of his era, but his dad just constantly crapping that down his throat.
Huh.
And now he's lucky to be painting murals every once in a while and getting enough money to do drugs and stay homeless.
Wow. Yeah.
So, the best thing you can do for your kids is positive reinforcement of the good things, and certainly correcting them for the wrong things is good, but positively reinforce the good things and hopefully point them in the right direction.
Right. What surprised me about Nate Gregory's story is that I think he said when they were moving, there was a guitar. He actually just found a guitar, and was like bored or well, I don't have anything else to do, so I'll just learn this. Right. That's a very genuine, organic way to come across something, rather than
Right.
My wife's a teacher, and she's told me before that 75% of her class wants to be YouTube stars when they grow up. You know, that's probably not a genuine,
It's not
like
right.
I'm watching
And
somebody
a
else be
genuine,
successful.
realistic
Yeah.
goal.
You're deciding what you're going to be on how much attention it gets you.
Right.
Yeah, which we've kind of dived into some pretty heavy stuff this morning. This gets beyond just like you and I thinking about failure. We have to deal with our own junk at some point,
Yeah.
Go through some inner healing and figure out why. For me, it was like I had to figure out why I was afraid to apply for a job. I'm an entrepreneur and I have a business and it's successful, and I get to do things I love and the creative things I love, but I still felt shame at some point with like, oh, I could never get a job because of my history, like what you said. So I had to go through
Yeah.
some inner healing and go like, well, why do I feel that way? And is that true? And it wasn't true. Sometimes we make a lot of decisions based on
Oh, yeah, certainly.
false things rolling around in our head.
Yeah. It happens every day to almost everyone.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost that idea of stepping outside of yourself and saying, "Hey, wait a minute." Being able to, before you make that bad decision based on an emotional thing, being able to step back and go, "Okay, yeah, maybe I don't feel good enough, but
Yeah.
here's the evidence that I actually am."
Yeah. And a good strong support system around you, friends that are
Yeah, definitely.
positive, family that's positive. I think that's really huge. So what's something that you've never shared with anybody else that you want to do? What's a dream that you're afraid to do
Oh
that I'm going to
man.
put you on camera, make you say, and hold you accountable for the rest of your life?
A dream or something I'd like to do. I mean, I would really like to be, as far as a dream, you know, a guitar tech touring the world with big time grain company. I
Hmm.
mean, that the idea of that is awesome.
Yeah.
Just the thought of that. I've come to realize that I've got pretty decent, problem solving skills, and I
Hmm.
might not be the best, but I hate to say this, I almost like it and kind of enjoy when things don't always go right, and I've got to run up on stage and fix this. Or
Hmm.
one thing I've told this story probably 100,000 times to other people, but outside the band. But we played a gig in Iowa. It was a birthday party for one of the Chads. I don't remember which. And
The Chad.
Chad's the Chad, the guitar strap button on one of Chad's guitars like broke, literally broke. And he's sitting on like one knee, down on one knee, and the guitar on the other knee, and he's playing. And I pulled a strap button off of another guitar, ran up there while he's playing, changed it out. I was like, to this day, that I still think that's super cool that happened, and it was weird. I was able to do that and fix it while the song kept going.
Yeah, which
And
is
that, I
which is
mean,
this picture right here. So
not quite.
you're like,
But yeah, I mean, that would be a huge dream that I would love to do. But at the same time, touring the world, I'm I'm living that dream every weekend we do a show. It
yeah,
doesn't matter that there's 100 people out there, or we're at something bigger where there might be 1,000 people out there.
right.
You know,
I
so
I think you hit on something pretty important there. Is I don't know. I just feel like there's kind of once we can get past just working for man's approval, you know, to whatever degree that is. I mean, I think all of us probably suffer a little bit for that. Um, but just what you just said is like, no matter what level you're at, you're enjoying it. You're enjoying the ride. It's not really about the end. It's not really, you know. I hear people say, "Well, I want to win a Grammy," or my life would be complete if I would played on a stage with 400 billion people. I'm kind of like, I don't know. It doesn't really get me going. I like to make stuff, you know. I like to build stuff, and
Yeah.
if it becomes successful, you know, I'm talking here like I don't struggle with this. I struggle with the same thing. I struggle with, you know, working hard not to seek man's approval.
Oh yeah, definitely. We all do.
Yeah. So for me, it's kind of, you know, in my belief system, I try to replace that with seeking God's approval, and that's a much more solid foundation than a YouTube channel, which guys post monkeys with hammers, you know. Like, I don't even know what this means, but it hurts my feelings. No, I'm just kidding.
Um, another part, I would say, another part of that dream that I get to live all the time is watching, you know, watching Chad go out and hit one note and the whole crowd just kind of instantly focuses on him.
Hmm.
I love being able to see people connect and do things like that. Or, you know, you walking up and just throwing your hand up on a mic stand, holding the mic, making everybody kind of wait for what's coming and seeing that anticipation out in the crowd. Or,
It's because I forgot the
you know,
words, just so you know.
or, you know, or Colin grabbing that cigar box
Oh
guitar
yeah,
and stepping out, and everybody's like seeing that, you know, here's that thing,
yeah,
you know, Max doing a bass solo
yeah.
and just, you know, bringing the house down, you know.
The Max, whoops, right there. That's
Yeah,
Max
the
Pinochet.
Max.
He's got six
You
strings
know,
on that bass right there.
yeah, he does. He masters all of them.
That's right.
He bends them to his will. My dad joke there.
That's your dad joke. Man, that's a lot better than my dad jokes. You're doing good.
Or, you know, or seeing Nick do, you know, you know, when you guys covered that Oak Ridge Boys song, I think it is, or not the Oak Ridge Boys. It's the drum solo that's not really all that
Oh,
exciting, but Nick will
Alabama.
like bash his head, you know, with his fist on a bass kick, and
Yeah.
seeing the crowd just, you know, get excited about something like that. That kind of stuff. It seems strange that you would be that would be a dream to see that people moved that way, but
Yeah.
I don't have to be the guy doing it. I just like seeing people, you know, being moved, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I'm with you. That one of my big dreams and passions is to how do I say this? With just kind of, this is not mine. This is from Matt Dinkle, but he said, like, I want to put people's brilliance on a pedestal. Um, I have a desire to do that, and I also have a desire to help people do what they love and get paid for it. That's another thing.
Yeah.
So those it's interesting. Those dreams and desires that are more other people centered are always more fulfilling.
Oh, definitely.
You know, so
Definitely.
you're talking a lot about seeing other people fulfilling their dreams and seeing their reaction and stuff. So um, anyway, I just brought that
I
up.
think, and I think at the kind of at the base level, it's almost like watching your kids, you know. You love seeing your kids happy,
Hmm.
and when they've done something they've worked at and achieve it. I mean, as a dad, that almost, for me anyway, when I see that with mine, it's like you see that aha moment. It's where they've achieved something and they've had success at something they've worked at.
Yeah.
It almost brings, a tear to your eye.
Yeah.
Get you a little misty when you see that happen.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing, for me anyway, seeing other people make those connections, it just warms your soul.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a huge passion, and that I think too. Like I try to do this with the band when I see you guys do something and it works and the crowd gets it and it's awesome. I try to tell you guys over and over again, because I want you to see that success that you've had, and it's a small success maybe, where the simple thing of making the crowd kind of wait for something, it might seem like a small success, but that's huge. That's a thing you've then learned works, and you've brought so much joy to all of those people at that event.
Yeah, that's good. I don't think that the things you're talking about, I don't think that any of those examples are people doing things premeditated. It's all like just responding. It's all just very natural. It's like who that person is, them just kind of unafraid to be that person in front of a crowd of people,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Being afraid not to, or whatever it is, the strong enough to fail or brave enough to fail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I heard something this last week. They said that most, the reason why there's a big percentage of kids that follow or kind of idolize even sports heroes is because they can see them following their dreams. Like it's a good visual of somebody following their dreams,
Yeah.
and that more than, loving sports and just the idea of sports, it's watching the person follow their dreams and somewhere inherently going, without even knowing it, going, maybe I could do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
yeah, definitely.
And then another guy that pops in my mind that I wish I would have pulled up a clip is Elon Musk, because he's got so many.
Yeah.
That dude knows how to fail, man. He's like, he didn't even flinch when he does it now. He's just like, that's part of it.
Yeah, he's like a fireman running towards a fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I know there's bad things going to be coming as I head to this.
Yeah.
But the goal is to put that out, and it's going to be hot until I get there.
Yeah, right. And he knows, like, that's the whole thing. It's like you got to go through the fire to purify, to do the come out on the other end knowing what you know. I mean, building a stinker rocket and shooting it into space. I mean, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Who thinks of those things other than a 10-year-old boy? And then who keeps them alive until they're his age?
Well into your 50s.
Yeah, and then he's like, no, I still think I can shoot a rocket into space.
Yeah.
Loving every minute of it.
And I'm going to bring it back, and I'm going to land it on a floating platform in the middle of the ocean. And not only am I going to land it there, I'm going to land it standing upright the same way that it took off.
Yeah. And the picture of that is so wild. It's like, it looks like it's not going to do it. It's like it's kind of sideways, like, and it goes.
Yeah, and at the last second it squares up and like, lands right. And how many of those blew up before they ever made it there?
Yeah. That dude's a trip, man. He's a trip. He's like,
he is.
He didn't have that no in his vocabulary, in his mental vocabulary. He doesn't process no. It's always why not.
Yeah, no,
it's always why not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's a good example for us all.
Yeah, and speaking from that standpoint, that Adam Savage quote that has become one of my favorites is, science isn't a compendium of knowledge, it's a process. It's that idea that, science isn't a giant pile of encyclopedias. It's a process. And that's what success is. It's a process. It's, you don't invent a light bulb without, failing a couple hundred times, or designing a Dyson vacuum cleaner without testing 5,000 prototypes.
Yeah.
So the idea that you're going to right out of the bat be awesome at your dream, that's silliness.
Yeah.
You might be good when you first start, but you're not going to be, you're not going to be Elon Musk right out of the box.
Yeah, totally.
Who wasn't Elon Musk right out of the box?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's good stuff, man. Cool, man. Well, I sure enjoyed this. It's been a good time, as usual. I still think eventually you'll have your own show. You'll invite me on. It'll be called Turn Up the Mic.
Sure. Yeah. Maybe.
I've got big plans for you, Mike. And here's another thing. If somebody has big plans for you or me, we have to make sure those big plans fall in what we want. I have been guilty in my life of putting other people's dreams and hopes over mine because I somehow prioritize or categorize mine below. And so I want to speak into that today. Your dreams are just as valid and just as important as my dreams. And if Mike, if you don't want to show, just tell me, shut up. Shut the up. Did I get that right? Shut the up. Is that better?
That worked.
Okay. Or is it?
There you go. Yeah.
Anyway.
No, I would like to give the having my own show a whirl. I'm busy fulfilling other people's dreams of what I should be.
You're busy being on my show. I'm like,
no. That's it's good. It's good groundwork. It's research.
Yeah. And it's funny because the original idea with Turn Up the Mic was, well, when I first started thinking about it, we were driving around on a tour bus, and Mike, God love you, you had an opinion about everything like going on in the world. You still do.
Oh yeah, I do.
Yeah, and that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. But then COVID hit, and you got all soft-hearted on me. You got all caring about other people and worrying about their well-being and how they're driving themselves crazy on social media, and you started spewing all this wisdom, and I'm like, well, that totally ruins the idea for turning.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah, well, I mean, I still have rants.
Yeah.
I still not as much.
Yeah.
And they're a little more well thought out.
Yeah.
As far as what I say and to who I'm saying it to.
Yeah.
But
so I was thinking about still having a segment on this show called Turn Up the Mic, but we could bring you on and talk about current events. But your approach is going to be more.
We can do that. I'm not as focused on that stuff as I used to be. Yeah. So
I don't know. I think you have something here with this encouraging other people thing.
Yeah. So, and yeah, that's something I wish more people did.
Mm-hmm.
The thing here's the thing that I would ask everyone to do for me.
For you.
Do this for Mike. If you can't do it for yourself, do it for Mike. The next time you go to post something on your Facebook page, say to yourself, how does this help someone else? And is it really something that helps someone else, or is it just there intended to make people who dislike it more angry and embolden people who agree with you to be more angry. Because the idea of shouting in someone's face your political beliefs is going to change their mind is complete silliness.
Yeah. Do you
All
think
you do is you strengthen their position by creating what the thing they hate in you.
Do you think that's getting better? Do you see less of that? Well, I mean,
No.
after the election, do you see less of it, I guess?
No.
Maybe I just unfollow that stuff, Maybe I don't see it as much as you do.
So I've made a point of not blocking anybody and not unfollowing anybody. But the point I've made is when I come across something I know is going to, because you can see as you're scrolling, and whether it's Twitter or Facebook, you can see within a second whether or not it's something that's going to suck you in and make you angry.
Yeah.
You know what your hot buttons are.
Yeah.
So my point has been to scroll by, and then when I see something I know that's going to make me feel good, I stop there and I purposely wait. Even after I've gotten done reading it, I wait a couple of extra seconds because I know how the algorithm works now, that the more you look at something, the more of those things you're going to get. Even just the scrolling. It's not just the liking.
It's the time spent.
It's the scrolling too.
Huh.
It's the time spent there.
Interesting.
So I'm not seeing as much of that stuff anymore, but I know it's still out there.
Yeah.
I know that people are still, calling each other idiots because you don't believe what I believe.
Yeah. And
then the conspiracies on all sides of a political opinion,
Yeah. And you know what the crazy part too is you don't have to be on social media.
Right. You don't.
I think we feel like we have to be there. And I know people that aren't on there. They've unlocked themselves from the grid.
Yeah.
And they're doing fine.
Yep. So. Probably better off for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I found that I can go 2 or 3 days now before I was like, oh, I haven't looked at Facebook lately.
Yeah. But your idea about waiting is really good. It's it avoids the reaction. It's more of a thought out response than if.
Yeah.
And most of the times you kind of decide you shouldn't say anything at all. Like that's usually, and if you do, then it becomes something maybe more productive. So.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to do another one. We'll have to do a social media one.
There you go.
See if we can get in a bunch.
I'm willing to do that.
We'll get a bunch of people mad at each other and get them on the show, and then you and I'll try to diffuse the situation. Are you down?
I'm down. Let's do it.
You might be doing more talking during that. I mean, I might be waiting more.
I might be waiting more too.
Anyway, thanks a lot for your talking about failure. I thought it was a good, timely that you wanted to talk about failure. That's necessary. We're all failing. We're all screwing up. We're all doing the best we can. Oh, you have somebody that says something here. Always very eloquent.
I think that's another heckle.
Eloquent. I agree with that, Mike. You're very eloquent speaking. Much more so today. That's kind of what we're.
Yeah, that's the truth. I used to be the guy that, speak with a 2x4, and now it's like maybe, just a small stick.
Small stick, yeah. Well, I appreciate it, man, and we'll have you back on. We'll do some social media stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Mike Schmidt. Woo!
Woo!
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you next time.
Yep.
Mike Schmidt, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in today. We talked about failure, and we'll talk about more stuff in the future with Mike. Maybe social media next time. If you like what you heard or didn't like it, please hit the subscribe button and the like and all that stuff. So thanks a lot. BretB from Outer Space. We out of here. Bam. Pressed the wrong button. You know why? Because I failed.